Jesse James robbed federal coaches. It was to disrupt and destroy the union and maybe possibly restart the war back over again. He did not want to give, there's no records of him giving back to the poor. And even throughout his career, and I say a long career of doing this, probably one of the longest out there, 1866 to 1882. That is a long time. That's a long
time to last with that lifestyle.
Yes, to last that lifestyle, robbing stagecoaches, trains, and any federal thing he could have gotten those guns pointed at, he robbed them. And not once is there any evidence of him sharing that money. Maybe the greed is what got to him, because you know what they say, greed is and greed does, because greed cost him his life. One of his own gangsters, his very own gangsters, and one that he would consider his brother, Robert Ford, shot him. No, not typical street western or even a gunfight on a horse. The most cowardly way a man can shoot another man, in the back. I mean, that is despicable.
Well, I think the most cowardly way is on the toilet, but this is second.
This is bad. And then after this, he is treated, and I don't understand this. I definitely applaud it. He is treated like a hero and traveled around the world like a hero, where there's no evidence of him doing anything heroic. Matter of fact, it's quite the opposite. There's all this evidence of him being a bloodthirsty villain. And he was the first villain that got his popularity went up to the point where...
he had a brother, too. Didn't he? Was Frank James actually a noted outlaw, too? Or was
Frank James was
famous because he's his brother?
Nope. Frank James was part of the James Brothers gang. And the both of them were together. And the both of them went on successfully robbing stagecoaches. Robert Ford did not get away with what he did, though. A lot of people think the governor would have hung him or whatnot. But let's put it this way. What he gave, he got back. So the due justice was served on his part, where they did not find too many pieces of him left after what he had done to Jesse James, because he was well loved amongst his gang. So he obviously treated those guys like they were family, and they lived like kings. I mean, throughout the area, they lived like kings with all that money from area to area, running away from the Pinkerman. Certain areas would not turn them in, not because they liked them, because they feared him. You wouldn't do that if you knew how ruthless and bloodthirsty this guy was. If he's setting in your town, you're not telling nobody. Because in the end results, if he comes back there and he's alive, you're going to be adding to his count. Speaking about count, his count is unknown. The amount of people that he slaughtered from the American Civil War to the end of his days is an unknown number.
Well, the ones he killed in the war wouldn't count.
Well, sure it would. Manslaughter is manslaughter. I mean,
but if there's a war going on and he's shooting people on the other side... Mm-hmm. That's during wartime.
But he's not shooting them as in standing in line type deal. He's shooting them like a raider. So he wasn't actually an official member of the Confederate Army.
He wasn't a member of the Confederate Army.
He was, but he wasn't legit. I mean, the Confederate generals did not give him commands. He didn't take commands. But he fought underneath the Confederate flag. So in all means of the terms... he was still an outlaw. He was not following the gentleman war code.
He was a terrorist.
Yes. So he was and if you add in all those numbers of people that he killed up from then to there, that would make this man probably one of the biggest serial killers of America's history, if they could find this out. Very, very impressive, Mr. James. Especially to impress the people into thinking you were a hero when you were anything but a hero. We'll go down to some music, and we'll come back, and we'll talk about one of my other favorites. And this will give a little shot to who we're going to be talking about soon. Willie Nelson and Toby Keith, Beer for My Horses, here on Chuckles Crypt, Rhode IslandFreeRadio.org.
Say somebody been shot, somebody been abused, somebody blew up a building, somebody stole a car, somebody got away, somebody didn't get too far. They didn't get too far.
Grandpappy told my pappy back in my day, son, a man had to answer for the wicked that he's done. Take all the rope in Texas, find a tall oak tree, round up all of them bad boys, hang them high in the street. All the people.
Justice is the one thing you should always find. You gotta saddle up your boys, you gotta draw a hard line.
When the gun smoke settles, we'll sing a victory tune, and we'll all meet back at the local saloon.
We'll raise up our glasses against evil forces, singing whiskey for my man, beer for my horses. You got too many gangs doing dirty deeds.
We got too much corruption, too much crime in the street.
This time along, I'm on the law, put a few more in the ground.
Send them all to their maker, and he'll settle them down.
Man, he'll settle down. Justice is the one thing you should always find. You gotta saddle up your boys, you gotta draw a hard line.
And when the gun smoke settles, we'll sing a victory tune, and we'll all be back at the local saloon.
We'll raise up our glasses against evil forces, singing whiskey for my man, beer for my horses. Whiskey for my man, beer for my horses. I said that justice is the one thing you should always find. You gotta saddle up your boys, you gotta draw a hard line.
When the gun smoke settles, we'll sing a victory tune, and we'll all be back at the local saloon.
We'll raise up our glasses against evil forces, singing whiskey for my men, beer for my horses. Sing whiskey for my men, beer for my
I love that. One would think I have an infatuation with whiskey, and I do. And I do have an infatuation with the way the Old West was happening, because if you had a problem with someone, you settled it like men. You didn't call the cops on one another, and you didn't get into a sissy lawsuit fight. You went out and you settled what you had to do, either by fist fight, gun fight, gambling debt, or whatnot. You settled it like a man, not like a wuss. And that's settling something. You need a diaper. Let's go down to one of my other favorites, and I'm going to say his name, and most people are going to say, who's that? And once I say the beginning of it, you'll understand. Bill Hickok. Now, most people out there are going to say, who the hell's that?
Wild Bill.
Wild Bill Hickok. A gentleman, nevertheless, that was a gunslinger. He did, and by the sign of him plugging his nose, this is going to be horrible. He did kill people, not as many as Jesse, but he was still a bloodthirsty killer. And he is very famous for a couple things, one of which is he used to run a gunslinging show. And this gunslinging show used to go on tour with circuses. He used to be able to throw up the plates and shoot them with his bullets and do all these crafty things with his guns. It didn't last forever, though, because the public got bored, or either that he accidentally shot a public member. That's the only thing I can think of. That couldn't have been too safe.
No, I don't. I think he didn't. Yeah, that didn't come to a good end. I think he ran into trouble. I think that's what happened.
I mean, the guy accidentally killed a lawman. Let's just put it that way, and that's what caused him to go into not using his guns for
entertainment.
For not using his guns to kill, and that's why he went into the entertainment business. And the entertainment business, boy, this guy, he was way ahead of his time for what he started. And it's only a shame that he didn't live long enough to see that this would actually catch on, and it would be part of circuses and sideshows for over 100 years. And it's still a big thing in the West and the middle of the country there, where, yes, yours truly, Chuckles the Klown, used to be a performer with these gunslingers. Excellent time. I would never take that back. But he went out, and eventually it phased out, and he became a man that went out west and became a lone gambler. And he made his living off of gambling versus what he did. His fame ran short real quick.
All right, but you didn't want to cheat at cards against him.
No, but
Quick
cheating
way to die.
cheating at cards is probably what killed him, because the famous Dead Man's Hand comes off Wild Bill, because he was in a bar, a saloon, and it was in the Dakotas, and he was South Dakota, should be, a place called Deadwood, and around 2 o'clock, someone came in and shot him right in the back of the head.
And he was holding. Aces and eights.
Yep, Dead Man's Hand, aces and eights. So if you get that, that's considered to be very unlucky. So I don't think this guy shot him in the head just for the fun of it. He probably cheated or did something he wasn't supposed to.
Well, somebody from his past looking for him.
Could be that, too. Someone finally caught up to him. Could have been
mistaken identity for all you know.
Oh, no. How do you mistake this man?
Well, the back of the head.
No. They knew what they were doing.
Drunk people shoot the wrong people all the time.
No. That is an execution. When you execute someone like that, you know what you're doing. You're not accidentally shooting someone. You know for a fact that the person in front of you are executing. And George was right. Maybe it was the lawman's family member that finally caught up to him, or the 3 folks that he had murdered prior. Someone finally caught word of where he was.
So this is a case where they don't know.
Right? And it was in a pretty much and can I say this on radio, let's just say a shithole area where people wouldn't care if someone got shot, versus if you shoot someone while he's out on performance, you make the man a martyr now.
Exactly.
So now you shot him when he was down on his luck and a low-life gambler, and nothing else was made out of it.
No one missed him at that point.
Although that probably did him a favor.
It did him a big favor, because he came legends of comics and history and movies and culture that you wouldn't have thought of. So it actually escalated his notoriety versus him going down in the dumps. Although I'm sure he rather preferred not to get shot in the back of the head and find another way. He's still one of my favorite guys, only because a gunslinger like this, if you had done this now and you killed 3 people or whatnot and then killed a deputy, you wouldn't be touring with a show. You would be arrested, unless you were some well-known celebrity. Then you could probably pay your way out, like O.J. Simpson, and you wouldn't have to worry about that.
Talk about dredging up the 90s.
Yeah, the glove doesn't fit, got to quit. Let's go down. Now, we were going to go to Leonard Skinner, but that would take up the rest of the show. And Freebird is a very long song, no matter.
The shortest one there was, too.
It is. So we're going to go down to a song that is just as great, and I'm happy to see that they are out performing again. George, why don't you read us out into this next song?
My chicken scratch.
Would it be the one below Linda Skinner?
Yes.
This would be Tony Jones and the Cretin 3, Bobby's Shed, on Rhode Island Free Radio.
He went to that one anyways.